Hello everyone, today we are going to take a look at a bunch of different Whoop stuff. I guess for the most part it's Whoop stuff, but first off let's start with a stick cam of this little guy. Not a lightweight build, but pretty fun. So I've got my sticks down there in the center and the little circular sort of thing there. So this particular build is a BetaFPV Meteor 65 Pro. That is the one that runs the 35mm props. I have got 0802. And I believe they are 18,000 kV motors in here. I've also got a Caddx Ant Light camera, kind of squeezed into a little bracket if you know anything about the bracket inside these canopies. Some Gem Fan triple bladed props. I've also got an Ishii Nano V2 VTX that can run up to 400 milliwatts, but it's 200 milliwatts. In this particular case, and I don't think this VTX is working full power right, because I'm seeing a little bit of breakup that I didn't expect. Also, the main board is the JHE MCU GSF 405, I believe. It's the one with the diamond shape to it and Express LRS. And really, I think the diamond shape is going to be kind of necessary for the Meteor 65 Pro. And I have a question for all our iGal participants out there. Is the Meteor series of frames your go-to for durability frames? I asked that question because I think it's one of the most durable frames, but then again, some people might be going with the newbie drone, especially now that they have the lifetime warranty option. But I don't know about their 65mm frames. You know, I'm a fan of the 75mm, but this Meteor 65 Pro frame is, you know, it's got those larger props, so it gets us closer to my preferred 75mm quad that with 40mm props. And you can see our flight time is going to be relatively short, but when we end the flight, our battery is going to pop up above 3.5 volts. Part of that is just the weight, which we'll get back to when we get back to the desk. You know, I didn't build this light. I didn't use the lightest camera on the market. I had an all-in-one board, but the all-in-one board doesn't have a VTX, so I added the VTX, and so we've got that additional weight. And I've got a really long pigtail on here running the BT20. By the way, the battery is the TinyWhoop 333 battery, which is fairly aged, so that might be part of the reason that we have a relatively short flight time at 2 minutes and 10 seconds. And I have no idea why I've got that ellipsis up there in our radio control link quality there. So you can see how long my pigtail is. That's obviously going to be, what, a half a gram maybe? What do you estimate that to be? About a half a gram extra that we actually probably don't need. But I went this route because I wanted to toilet tank the battery, see how the camera's there and our battery sits sideways. I just like how that flight feel is. And this gives me, with this extra length, the ability to run to stick batteries, because I don't have any good BT20 batteries that have a battery lead on them. So I kind of need to go with this extra length. But let's get the weight. So the dry weight is 22.5 grams, so not a light Whoop by today's measure. And if you haven't already, if you would, down in the comments section, let me know, especially you iGal participants or you Whoop bashers. These Meteor 65 Pro and the standard Meteor 65, are these the more durable of Whoop frames? I have that question for you. I think so. And I think the iGal participants are probably some of the best participants to get that information from. If you're not familiar with iGal, that is the international game of Whoop. It's kind of like that basketball game when you play horse, where somebody shoots a shot and the next person doesn't shoot the shot, then they get a letter. If you spell the entire word after missing all your shots, in this case it would be Whoop, then you're out. It's a really fun, really beginner entry level competition. It's actually, I think it's on week 44 now, and I think it's down to 2 or 3 participants. So those guys down at the end, they're top notch. Leave your experience about that as well as this frame. I'd sure like to get some confirmation about the durability of this particular frame. And you can see that they come in various colors. I think this purple is actually kind of sharp. And I'm thinking about swapping out the pink. I went with pink because my youngest, she wanted to have an all pink frame, but I just kind of thought pink on pink wasn't really all that eye-catching, so I went pink on blue because I love blue. And I think the pink on the canopy, it's a little bit flat, so maybe red or purple might be appropriate. This mint green that they have is also pretty eye-catching as well. So I talked about the Caddx Ant camera. There's a little capacitor or something on there, and these canopies comes with 2 different camera holsters. Oops. So if you have a smaller like pinch camera, or what is it, the C01 camera from BetaFPV, you have these two different options in the canopies, and you can see they've got a little screw that goes up in the top of the canopy here, so you have to screw that down in there, and it does come with those screws as well. I just don't have them out. Now I have found that the white props tend to come off in crashes more than the other colored props. Something you might want to keep in mind. Also, they did send a couple of lanyards for hanging your radio from your neck. This one's pretty lightweight, but has the colorful print and design on there. This one is actually quite heavy duty. This feels like you could use this on your luggage or something. That's probably more expensive, but it also feels very, very substantial. It feels like it's made out of some sort of nylon material with the print over the top. So if you're looking for a strong or colorful strap, might take a look at there. And also, you've probably seen this on many, many channels. This has been making it rounds of Vifly Whoop Stor, the only, to my knowledge, 1S battery charger that also allows you to do storage charging. So you can see up here we've got the high volt and then standard volt switch, and then down here we've got full and storage. I've currently got it flipped over here to full. We also can we can also charge out the field with this XT60 connector, or you can use a battery adapter to plug into the wall. We've got USB-C on here as well. There's a heat sink right here to dissipate heat. One thing I don't care for this. Well, let's plug it in. We'll take a quick look. So I've got this little brick. I'm going to plug it in via USB over here on the side of my desk. So you're probably seeing a little bit of flickering. I'm not seeing that. That's just the refresh rate on the screen here versus this camera. So I wouldn't mind with that too much. But you can see we've got 6 slots. That's mean you can charge 6 batteries at a time. You can either do all BT20 or PH20, which it does have on both sides. Or you can mix and match, but you can only do 1 battery per slot. So if you plug in number 6, you can't plug in number 6 down here as well. So just one of those. And we have LEDs right here, and those shine through this little cutout. It's not really a cutout, it's just they don't have the paint on the plexi or plastic up here, so you can see those LEDs from up top. And then we've got our button, which basically gives us a command. Short press changes our amp. Long press starts the charging or storage charging, depending upon your selection. There is a reset button up here. I presume that is if something gets locked up, that you have to press the reset button. I haven't had a propensity to use that, so nothing to really show there. What we get when we plug in the batteries, so you can see I've got these 2 batteries plugged in, and it shows you the voltage here. So I've already got it set to 0.5, and it tells us our input voltage at 12.1. If I long press, it goes from charge ready to charging, and you didn't hear anything. Well, this doesn't give you any feedback as far as a beep or a tone or anything like that. And that's one improvement I would like to see. Some sort of feedback that something has changed. I don't necessarily want us to not be able to control that, especially if you have a young one in the house and you're doing some battery charging. Maybe you don't want it to make a sound, and you could just turn that off with a switch. That would be awful handy, and it seems like there's space in there to where we might be able to add a little buzzer or something to give us some sort of audible feedback. But you can see it's charging. You can see our LED lights on both sides here, and it charges away. When it's done charging, the light goes out, and then where the battery is plugged in, it says OK. And it works quite well. First iteration of this was a little bit shaky. I think they are replacing all of those because they actually used PH2 connectors on all the way around, and they cut them down so that BT20 would fit, but they didn't make great contact. There were some issues there. But in version 2 here, they've squared everything away. We've got actual BT20 and PH20 connectors. If you're using G and B27, well, you got to have an adapter. I've gone ahead and I've plugged in this Makerfire here so that you can get a quick look at that. Just kind of a USB voltage sort of doodad that you might find useful to see if, well, one, if your charging bricks for your cell phones are actually working properly. There are probably 100 other use cases, but in this particular case, we can compare. This one's reading 12.1, this one's reading 12 volts. You can also change the output to where it's maybe a little bit easier to read. I don't think my camera has focused great on that. So you can make it bigger to make it easier on your eyes. And then you have additional readouts that gives you some time on here. And then the last one's blank. You hit it again, and it goes back to where we started from. I'm going to switch over to the larger print and hit charge again. See if anything changes. Oh yeah, it's giving us a little bit of a readout there. Hopefully I've got the camera zoomed in enough that you can see that. So just kind of something neat. It's got all sorts of inputs on here. So obviously you want your power side to come in wherever it's labeled input, and then your output to come wherever it's labeled, very easily to read, output. And it's got USB-C, it's got micro USB here on the sides, another USB-C for your, I think that, yeah, output. And then we've got standard USB up at top and bottom. And then there's also this little adapter that comes for the micro USB, so you can plug it in down here to get your USB or micro USB out as well. But the Vifly Whoops charger here, I think that's something that if you fly Whoops, this is something that can pay for itself by just saving you money and, you know, mistakes of leaving your batteries undercharged for too long or leaving them charged for too long. You have that storage charging feature. It doesn't charge particularly fast. Of course, that's going to depend upon your input voltage as well and how many batteries you're charging at one particular time. But if you don't have like a series/parallel board for your Whoop, like these to plug into your standard battery charger. This is the Happy model. It was coming with one, and then this is the Flying Sandal. Links to all this stuff down in the video description below, of course. So just a quick video on some Whoop stuff that I've been using here over the last few weeks, and I thought I would share it with you real quick. Again, I think this is the one thing that you Whoop flyers out there, especially all the iGal guys, you should probably get one of these. It's probably going to pay for itself long term and some battery health. Of course, if you're looking for colorful frames, and the Meteor 65 Pro, it's 35mm prop size, and that might not be legal in your Whoop racing, so check with your local Whoop chapters on their races on if they allow a 65mm or 35mm props, because that would be an advantage. And also take note that you probably need to have a diamond board in there like this one in order for them to fit down in there. Let's dry fit one real quick before we go. Got an all-in-one board right here. Let's just see if I can get that down in there. Well, it does look like it. Well, maybe. Yeah, we're going to have to kind of finagle. Yeah, I got her down in there. So you can use a standard Whoop board down in there for your all-in-one. It's just a little bit tight, a little bit fussy. Of course, you can probably tell from this angle, it's going to touch on each one of these sides down here. So yeah, it's a tight fit, but it still does fit, which is really all we need. iGal and Whoop Bashers, let me know what your favorite, most durable frame is for 65mm down in the comment section below. I would sure appreciate it. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, or otherwise, please let me know in the comment section below. I appreciate your time. And thanks for watching.